Okay, we're live for real now. I don't know what just happened, but if you're if you're in the chat, can you just like tell us if you can see us? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Is this happening?
I literally got the notification that was like, you guys are live, and I was like, cool, we're live. But I think now we are for real live. I am watching us be live.
I think that what happened is that I was in a different, like, I started a completely separate live stream from like, there was this one that we had scheduled, and I accidentally like wasn't clicked into it and started another one entirely. But everyone sees us now. We're all on the same page. I deleted that other one too, so it's just gone forever. Congrats to the 4 people who who are with us. Actually, I apologize to the 4 people who are with us because I now have to go back to the beginning of my plot synopsis. So, to those 4 people, here, I'm sorry. I'm going to. Oh, also, my reminder. If you're, we're always going to be super spoilery with this. So this is your last chance to leave us, because I'm going to do the synopsis right now. So, episode 3. Here we go again. Now in color. So we are, as the episode title says, now in color. Though it is, we are not getting the Three's Company thing that we were hoping for last week. We are instead getting like a Brady Bunch vibe. The staircase gave me like big nostalgia. So, at the beginning of the episode, Wanda is being checked out by a doctor due to how she became instantaneously pregnant. Though Vision, who is like concerned, he's like, wow, you became instantaneously pregnant, and I'm like worried about you. Like, that concern is turned into sort of sitcom hijinks. And Wanda is like sort of participating in making it hijinks and seems deeply not concerned with the fact that she became spontaneously pregnant. So the doctor assures them that she will be just fine and that she's about 4 months along. So he leaves, and they decide to prepare their nursery. Vision starts reading a book on pregnancy, and while they are debating whether they're going to name their son, because they've decided Toad's going to be a boy, Tommy or Billy, Wanda feels a kick, which, according to Vision's book, means that she's actually 6 months along. So he like does some quick math and it's like, oh wow, this baby is coming on Friday. But then she has Braxton Hicks contractions, and in response to the pain, her magic goes haywire and causes a power surge and then an outage on the entire block. And then she starts having real contractions. When her water breaks, everything starts flooding. You know, big comedic moment. Vision, I think my water broke. Anyway, Vision sprints off to try to bring the doctor. And while he is gone, Geraldine arrives to gossip with Wanda, and there's some, more hijinks ensue as Wanda tries to hide that she's pregnant. I didn't really understand why she was trying to hide. Like, there's supposed to be a baby. Like, she's gonna have a baby in a second, so, anyway, it doesn't matter. She's trying to hide that she's pregnant, but eventually Geraldine realizes that Wanda is not only pregnant, but she is, in fact, in labor. So Geraldine helps Wanda deliver the baby, and like the baby is born right before Vision and the doctor return. And Geraldine sort of ushers the doctor into the kitchen so that Vision and Wanda can have a moment alone with their new baby. But then Wanda has another baby. So there's 2 babies, and they're both boys, and they're Tommy and Billy. So we got to a little bit later when Vision is taking the doctor home, and Geraldine and Wanda are left alone with these twin boys. And Wanda gets very sort of sullen, and she tells Geraldine that she is herself a twin and had a brother named Pietro. And Geraldine realizes that she knew this information too, or I don't know. I don't know if she realizes this then or what. We'll talk about this, but she's like, "Oh, he was killed by Ultron, wasn't he?" And Wanda gets real fucking suspicious about this, and like not happy. Like bad suspicious. So Geraldine like dials it back and tries to revert to character, and Wanda's like, what did you say? And Geraldine repeats the thing that she said before that, and like tries to just, you know, go with that, but Wanda isn't having it. She notices that Geraldine has a sword necklace, and is like, what the fuck is that? And Geraldine is rightly real nervous. So outside, Vision, returning from the doctor, notices Agnes and his neighbor Herb, who he had earlier seen outside ostensibly trimming his hedges, but like he was actually cutting into the low wall between his home and theirs. So Herb is still like sawing at that wall, and now he and Agnes are talking in hushed voices. Vision tries to figure out what's going on, and they ask if Geraldine is inside with Wanda, and go on to point out that Geraldine is not only new in town, but turned up unmarried, and more importantly, does not appear to have a home, and like that's kind of weird. So the two seem very cagey, and Herb is on the verge of explaining something to Vision, but Agnes warns him off, and then they sort of merrily return to their exaggerated sitcom character selves. Vision walks back inside the house and asks where Geraldine is, and Wanda ominously says that she had to go home. We cut to Geraldine in a red haze, like bursting through some sort of force field. She lands in the grass in some sort of military camp in like the present day, maybe the future, definitely not the 70s. And a bunch of sword agents and helicopters like are swarming her. And then we pan back to the control room, and that's the episode. I guess the other like probably significant details that I left out is Vision had a couple other moments where he was sort of like, what's going on here? And Nick has a point about this. I don't think she's intentionally reverting to character. I think the characters are kind of stuck in a dream, and occasionally reality sets in. This is a thing that we're going to talk about, because I think this is a thing that there are ways to read this. So I will point out something else that I left out is that there are a couple other moments where Vision, we get sort of a rewind, kind of like the no moment from last week, where Vision is like, it's sort of at the beginning of the episode, he's like, okay, no, but like, it's fucking weird that you are pregnant. Like, this is weird. Something is not right here. And then it sort of blips. And if you're like, when you're watching it, it kind of feels like your internet just cut out for a second, but it's just like a, blip. We go back to like reset a couple seconds so that Vision can be like, ah, yes, you're pregnant. And that's great. And yeah, so Vision has more moments in this episode where he's like, I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, that's this episode. So
yes.
I guess we're gonna start where we always start. I think the answer, I don't think there's gonna be any surprises, but we're gonna do it anyway for the sake of consistency. Did you like it?
I was gonna say, you don't know me, but you in fact know me better than probably anyone in this world. No surprises. I like this one as well. So yes, I think that this one probably did a better job for more viewers, kind of balancing the Marvel stuff with the like TV sitcom stuff. But I enjoyed both of those parts equally still. I am really digging the sitcom stuff and everything that it's bringing to the table already. And I enjoyed that as we go into talking about like how much of this is like dream reality and the characters kind of going back and forth, that we got to see a little bit of those shades from the actors as well, where you have them in their like over the top sitcomming things, but then like having more of those realizations. So overall, just another fun episode with those like starting to see those like strands or whatnot of like the other plots and the more serious nature of it. So yeah, this is another thumbs up for me.
Same. Also, another thumbs up for me. I also very much enjoyed this episode. I said this last time that like I felt like this was going to be a fairly sort of slow burn mystery. I think this like jumped us forward a lot more than either of the two episodes did, but not in a way that feels like a radical alteration to the pacing. Like it feels like there was sort of a ramp up. Like episode 1 was just, we're in we're in a random sitcom and you don't know why this is just happening. You're going to have occasional sort of like tugs to confirm that this is illogical. Like, and that's it. Like that's all we're going to give you. And then the second episode, like sort of expanding those tugs a little bit. And I think really like the biggest, like, I don't know, reveal moment of the episode was Wanda saying no and the rewind. Like that to me felt like the most significant thing. We kind of talked about this a lot last week and like the implications of that, and then I think this episode sort of went on to, if you had suspicions from that no, this episode kind of went on to confirm them, that like yes, Wanda is an active player in whatever the fuck is going on here. Like this is not just something, maybe there is an additional force that's like helping it to happen to her, but like it kind of seems like she's just doing it all herself, as sort of a, she's like the most powerful person to ever exist and she's experienced a ton of trauma, so she's altering the fabric of reality. That's the vibes I'm getting here. I don't know, maybe something else. All that to say though that I am really enjoying the pacing of all of this, and like I love all of the like meta TV bits. As I said in the synopsis, like seeing the Brady Bunch stairs, I was like, oh yeah. I remember that.
Part of the reason this felt like a jump forward in terms of like pacing and plot without really materially changing much of anything is that we had all of these seeds of things, and we had all of these things that we talked about, like noticing and thinking and like theorizing, and this episode gave us enough of a like a little nudge and wink and like you're on the right track, that it felt like a huge jump forward, when really we maybe learned like one or two extra things, but more than anything it was confirmation after being stuck in this like really weird world that the show was like, yes, you know it, we know it, our characters are now catching on to it, so it felt really satisfying in that way.
Yes. Very, very satisfying pacing on the mystery, watching the characters sort of catch on in their own sort of different and variable little ways is interesting. Before we get to that though, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the A plot here, I guess. Really, like to me, I mean, like the A plot really is the sitcom plots. Like even though like the running the season, like the arc, the most important plot gets so little screen time that I don't know. I guess I'm confused by which one we should refer to as the A or the B plot here, but the sitcom plot with the pregnancy. So like we've been talking a lot about the all of this kind of like meta TV vibes, and mostly in sort of broad strokes, like the first two were Bewitched episodes and this one is kind of like a Brady Bunch episode, and whatever, but the show is doing a lot more than that in terms of its like very meta TV commentary elements, and like part of why I'm so into this show is, in addition to like the weirdness, as I mentioned last time, is also just the way in which it feels like the people making it just really love TV, and I also really love TV.
Same.
So I just as Marvel Studios' first foray into television, like I appreciate that. I don't know, that like love and care. But anyway, the spontaneous pregnancy is that's a whole thing.
So the whole like TV bit of it, like watching these, even apart from like it calling back to like the Brady Bunch, let's say, in very like sort of specific things, there are so many like larger things that just feel so familiar and homey, and there are things that I wouldn't necessarily be able to even put my finger on, but even the way that some of the humor and delivery felt different to me in this episode than it did in the previous one. Like some of the jokes, the pacing, and some of that stuff felt a little different because we're in a new like decade. It's like a new sitcom vibe or whatnot. But it wouldn't, like, again, I wouldn't know how to explain it much better than that, especially after like one watch. It just felt that way. And so the ability for the TV show, for WandaVision, to like capture that and to mimic that very successfully, like on its own, whether it's an A or a B plot, like that, it works as an episode of sitcom TV, but then it also has like all of these additional elements to it as well. And so as I was thinking about like what those elements are, or like the tropes it's using, or why it feels so homey, I'm sure there's a lot of it, but the thing that jumped out to me was definitely like the pregnancy, or like this sort of like, I mean, a mystical, magical sort of pregnancy is like a really huge, large trope in any sort of fantasy, but specifically the sped up pregnancy. Like I kept having these moments of like, I've seen this before. Where have I seen this before? And I mean, there are very big examples of it, but I think the thing that I was most feeling like is also a sitcom. Family Matters was like the thing that kept jumping into my head. There's an episode where I don't even remember honestly this, like how this is happening, but it's some sort of like flash forward or something like that. And Laura is married to Steve Urkel, and every time that Steve Urkel kisses her, she gets pregnant. What I remember of this episode, so I was like watching this WandaVision episode and like having flashback to that other sitcom, but you know, there's a ton of other examples of like the sped up pregnancy sort of deal.
That isn't like, so you laugh at like making that example. I will say though, like that's a really I don't know, it feels like a relevant example, because like that I don't remember that episode, but I assume that is like Steve that feels like his wish fulfillment is like the essence of what's going on there, right? And like that's also like that's very strongly the vibe of this episode, you know, like she's all in on this spontaneous pregnancy and like the pace at which it's happening. And you know, they couldn't agree on the names, and then she has a boy, and Vision picks the name that she wanted, and then she has another one, so that they can both have their name. And like also she has twins, and like she was a twin. You know, the layers of Wanda's wish fulfillment embedded in that pregnancy make that a very clear I think tie in terms of the sped up pregnancy as a concept.
Yeah.
We also, I mean, obviously, like if we're going to talk about this, we must acknowledge, the SnarkSquad must acknowledge Angel, the example of Angel from the season.
Must we?
Oh, you're right. Because season 4, we've canceled it in our brains. It never happened.
I mean, along those same lines, we as SnarkSquad then must acknowledge Bella's sped up pregnancy in Twilight. Two express pregnancies that weren't so wish fulfillment-y, that were a little more tragic and weird and more along the lines of like
the
sometimes
Twilight one is wish fulfillment-y.
Which one?
Twilight.
Sure. I mean, I guess
less so. It's less so than this one.
The baby is killing her.
That's true. Sure. Okay.
I was gonna say those are more along the lines of this trope being used a lot in fantasy to sort of like punish its female characters, like of it being a way of like bringing a lot of trauma. Like, how do we bring a traumatic issue to a woman? Make her pregnant. Which I'm not, like, the pregnancy itself probably won't go that way for Wanda, but the having of the kids probably will.
Yeah.
But yes, this like whole pregnancy thing does feel very, very much more in line with confirming to us, the viewer, how tied to this Wanda actually is. And it isn't only like, okay, she gets the pregnancy, the 2 boys, she was a twin, but all of the stuff that starts happening as she's having contractions and all of that, like, obviously she is deeply tied to this world.
reading the comments. Yes. Well, two things from the comments. Nick is Forsaken because he likes season 4. Yes, that's correct.
I cannot even.
And Spider-Girl Karen? Is that, yes, maybe, no? I know we know this person. But killing Bella is sort of a wish fulfillment for us in a monkey's paw way, which, yes, that's correct.
Oh wait, I was kind of switching topics, but also Jack, the movie where Robin Williams like ages really, really fast. We watched as kids, my sisters and I watched that movie all the time. I say kids, I don't know how old I was. I could have been like 7. But we rewatched that movie all the time, and there's like that scene where she starts to go into labor and she's like, it's too soon, I don't know. That is also a thing.
Amazing.
Uh-huh.
Okay, unless there are any more thoughts on
Sorry.
yeah,
Yep.
no, that's
that
okay.
was it.
On the magical pregnancy. I also don't have anything else to say really about the magical pregnancy. It's a thing. The other thing that I did want to mention though is the commercials, like partially because I think we should be talking about them in general, but also because I want to begin by saying that I didn't process them last week, like at all. And like, in fact, I think I when like writing my synopsis, I was like looking at Wikipedia to just get like, to make sure what are the beats, what are the important beats. And I saw at the bottom, like there's a commercial. And so I knew that it had happened. And I think in the stream, I said something about it being like that I thought it was like a cutscene thing or something. So I was like, I don't know what the fuck this even is. But then like when the commercial happened, I think in this episode, it was right after the water breaking moment, I realized that one, I did remember seeing them. Like I was like, oh yes, like I remember seeing these commercials last week. They did happen. I did watch them. And second of all, I also like actually clocked some like part of what was happening in terms of, like, because they're also like Easter egg-y. Because so the first one had there was it was like a Stark Industries thing, and like they're like references to Wanda's trauma basically. So like the first one, the Stark Industries, and like that's how, if you didn't watch Age of Ultron, if you're just diving right into the show, that's that's trauma beat 1 for Wanda and her brother is that, and the second one, I don't even remember what the second one is now, but what was the second?
It was a reference to Hydra.
Yes.
Oh, the Hydra watch.
The watch. Yeah. But that one was like a little bit more subtle. This one was much more like, this was like Hydra, because it was like just on the watch, whereas this it was like, this is like Hydra soap, or whatever. And it was, you can escape reality, and very much like, here is what's happening. I don't know if this is like was part of the actual intention of it, but it reminded me of a couple things on S.H.I.E.L.D. Coulson has this whole thing about like Hydra and soap that you can whatever, that like as it being like a thing that like erases your memories, and also the way that they're talking about escaping reality. There's basically so Coulson died in Avengers, and then suddenly he's alive on this show, and part of how the show addressed this is it was sort of like a long-seated thing, but basically there was a lot of like reprogramming involved to sort of like erase the trauma of his murder. Oh yeah, Strucker. Yeah. Sorry. Nick in the comments pointed out Strucker Wash is the guy who experimented on her. So yes, continuing the trauma beats. But anyway, Coulson, there's this whole thing about Tahiti, as like he like went to Tahiti, but like it turns out, and like he has memories of being in Tahiti, but it's like a code name for like an actually like very terrible and painful and invasive process whereby they were erasing his memories, but like they replaced them with these very like escapist sort of memories. So anyway, like the tone of that commercial, I don't know, gave me very strong S.H.I.E.L.D. vibes. I doubt that is like a tie-in nod, but I wouldn't be surprised if it works. I feel like there's probably a lot of things that are just like, like winking at the audience type things, and so like it might have been that kind of thing, or it could have just been like, yo, Hydra, that's what we're trying to say to you right now is Hydra.
Yeah.
In which case, yes, true.
I had one of those moments too that I was like not fully processing until the show really got like explicit about it. And it was the whole thing that she had twins. I was just laughing because another one was on the way and I was like, oh, they get to name them. And so it wasn't until she actually says, I was a twin, that I was like, oh shit, she was a twin. Like really, and it was just a moment that I was like, duh, that's what's happening. But I was not like processing it that way because of like sort of like the hijinks of the sitcom and laughing about the twins and me thinking about like, yeah, like if you never got an ultrasound, you wouldn't know if you were having twin siblings.
Right.
So this is all the stuff that's like going on in my head. But when she had that moment of she's looking down at the twins and she was like, I had a twin, I was like, oh, I see what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I see how we are once again circling back to your trauma.
Yes.
In this fun, lighthearted sitcom that we're watching.
Yeah. The other thing too, like there were a ton of moments like that, like some more subtle than others, but really driving home the whole thing of like escaping reality. This isn't real. Wanda's tied up in this in some way, but I was thinking about like how throughout some of the hijinks that happen and sort of like the, sitcomming portion of it are that she keeps bringing inanimate objects to life. So it's the stork and the butterflies. And so she's like, this is how her magic is kind of manifesting or going haywire. It's like all of these different things just start coming to life. And so tying that into the fact that we know this pregnancy is like some sort of magic, like how much of this, we talked about wish fulfillment in this sort of like nebulous sort of way, but how much of this is like her magic actually like bringing something or like manifesting within like the construct or the confines of wherever she is.
Yeah, which yes is also I think a question that like the end of the episode sort of raises too, about like what exactly is happening there, and like what the relationship is between this world that she is in and Sword, who is like now we had illusions, and now like pretty solidly confirmed that's the thing that's being introduced here, which is I guess I don't really know a ton about it from in terms of like comic stuff, but like it's a subdivision of Shield basically. The finale of Shield kind of implies that a couple of the like the major characters, that like 3 of them go off and are like maybe members of Sword. One of them is a mutant. 2 of them are mutants actually. So I continue. I just really want to see Quake again. I want Quake to get her due in like an actual movie, but alas. Anyway, so yeah, that's like clearly something is going on there, and it also made it clear that whatever is happening is there are like clear physical manifestations of it, right? Like to the point that you were making, that like this is not just in her head, that there is actual like physicality to this. And I don't know, my read on this, on like the way that ended, is that like she is creating like this sort of larger bubble, and that like whatever Sword is doing is possibly containment, and trying to that like I don't know, from like the fencing and all of that around it, the vibe I got from that is that the thing that they are doing is trying to contain it and keep it from keep it from bleeding out and like altering the fabric of all reality, and also trying to like get her out of it as well, hence sending Geraldine / into into this world. So
right.
Yeah,
the physicality of it is like exactly it, because we actually see Geraldine get ejected from like a place. So where I think I was thinking about it and talking about it last episode, a lot of it being like Wanda trapped in her own head sort of thing. This is like, is it though? Like
Nick, I'm curious what you guys think about the sword medallion. Like, you wouldn't wear that on purpose, would you? I mean, I don't know. It's a little sword necklace.
So, okay, that's kind of cute. I don't think that's what he means. I think this goes back to interpreting some of the character reactions and what we believe is going on there in terms of, okay, if this is like a physical place, does that mean that whatever Wanda is doing has trapped actual people within this, so that they're having these moments of like lucidity where they're like, how did I get here? Same as Wanda, sort of thing. Like, I'm a real person, but how did I get here? Are these like constructs of Wanda's magic? Like, did she literally create all of this? And these people are included, and this is speaking to some sort of like her losing grip on the magic or them evolving in some way. And it extends to Geraldine, because there were moments where, like when she was saying about Ultron, that she almost looked a little shocked at the information herself, or like, I don't know, she didn't, I don't know, it just felt like she wasn't entirely herself. So one theory would be that they sent her in here knowing or having a possibility that she could also lose herself in this reality in some way. So like the sword necklace would be like some sort of anchor to the real world, and like, don't forget where you came from, sort
like
of thing.
the
Or
Inception, like the top and yeah.
Yes, like that sort of thing. I don't know. That's like one possibility, but I think that there has to be an explanation. You would not just go in as a secret agent wearing a big ass medallion of the agency you belong to, unless it was necessary.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. That is a really, yes. I think that is a really good and interesting point. To me it feels like Geraldine is also, I agree with sort of Nick's point too about like the ways in which people, like their tether to reality is kind of slipping in and out, and so I do think like that moment where she asked the question about her brother, that did feel to me like a genuine what am I trying to say? Like a genuine, I just remembered
Right.
that you had a brother and that Ultron killed him. Like that I just remembered this. But then,
Okay.
I think that after that moment, when she starts trying to repeat like what she said before, that didn't feel as genuine to me. That felt more like a deliberate, like, oh no, I said something wrong. And so like I don't know, again, this is all speculation at this point, but my read on that moment is that like Geraldine was sent in there because she wasn't in the first episode. She arrives in the second episode. Is that like Sword sends her in there as to have a person on the ground to try to help address whatever, to like help get to Wanda, help reach Wanda, but like she also got sort of sucked into it too, like that she and like I don't know, was like losing touch with the mission or whatever in some sort of sense. Related to that though, the reason that I'm sort of insinuating that some people that it is sort of like very deliberate play, like that whole Herb and Agnes thing, that was deliberate. Like they were very aware of like that they were breaking and then that they were returning. Like Agnes's return did not feel like she was like, oh, I've just snapped back into it. That felt like a like calculated, okay, gotta mug to camera again. And that to me felt like they understand that, like they understand that they have to have to cooperate. Like that felt like a greater sense of coercion. That's more the thing that I'm like, that I feel like there's a little bit more awareness there, but also an awareness that like they can't just break. And this is further doubled down by the doctor, the whole thing with the doctor, where like he was trying to go on vacation, and then like Vision returns him and he's like, okay, like you're going on vacation, and he like very like sadly is like, yeah, small towns are really hard to leave, I can't, like I guess I'm not going on vacation after all. Like that also, like that wasn't a person who just suddenly decided, you know what, I don't really want to go on vacation anymore, whatever. That was like, damn, I'm like really trapped here.
I think he has a line too when Vision first gets him, like, every time we try to leave, something happens because his car is broken down and he can't actually leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so there was also a moment, I think it was Wanda at the top of the episode, where she basically said something like, I don't know how people haven't noticed, like, that, we're weird, basically, or how nobody has caught on to us. So going one step further with what you're saying, like, there's a great possibility that everybody knows exactly what's happening, like, in the town, or that they have caught on, but they're notice that they cannot break character, or it's more of like whispering behind their backs. And I think that some of these moments that we've seen, like in this episode, Vision like ran through town, super ran through town with the doctor on his back.
Right.
And then was just like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
So, like, people know something is up. People know something is wrong. How much they're able to process that, or like what they're doing with that information, I don't know. But there are definitely, like, I don't know, people know. There has to be some knowledge.
Yes. Yeah, that like something is amiss here. This is not a normal suburban couple, at the very least. Whether or not they recognize anything about their town itself, they have to know Wanda and Vision. There's something amiss there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I probably do have more like speculation, more thoughts and feelings about where we're going. But I don't know. I'm not sure. Anybody? Oh, also there are hints of the Mohoverse here, which is a sort of B-level Marvel storyline. I don't know anything about that, but I saw, it's in terms of like I looked at a couple of things that were like allusions to things that could be happening, and I did see a theory that like this is gonna be how we get the X-Men into the MCU, that because like Wanda is also like that she is an X-Men, and that they're gonna retcon Ultron, and so, or a little bit, and say that rather than like that being how they got the experimentation actually causing their powers, that like maybe it unlocked powers that they possessed because they were actually they're actually mutants. Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know enough of the comics to have any sense of how any of what we've seen gets us to that. So
I also today I learned, as I was also like looking stuff up, people who know more about Marvel than I do, that like Tommy and Billy are characters that are actually in comics, that Wanda and Vision do have these two sons, kind of, and that also has like a pretty tragic ending in terms of how they came about, and what happens to them, but that's interesting that there is like a place that this show is like pulling from, that which I think was probably more confirmed for people this week.
Yes.
I'm
scrolling back through the chat, and I'm getting back to the beginning when we were when we were not here, when we were talking, but only some people could talk. Were watching us.
Classic.
What a good time,
Yeah.
I feel like by the last time we're gonna have the final episode, the finale, that one, that's gonna be the one where we get it all correct.
Anything else? Oh, okay. I was gonna say anything else, but I had one other thing. I don't know. Did you want to talk anything about predictions or Marvel or anything?
No, I mean, there's something in the comments that I want to talk about, but you go ahead. This is a separate thread.
No, this is gonna literally take 1 second. But Vision's hair in this, when he had like the long, I promise you that for 1 second I was like, "Who is that?" Like, I didn't even recognize him the first second he was on screen, and I was like, "Oh no,
sir."
Yeah.
Why?
Amazing.
Yes. Yeah. This why did the hair and makeup department do that to Paul Bettany, first of all? Second of all, like, Vision is an extremely powerful android who's generating this like hologram himself, so why would this incredibly smart supercomputer make the decision to give himself that hair?
I
Yeah,
mean, it
a
was
lot
the
of
70s.
questions.
I
A
get
lot of
it, but
questions.
wow.
um so back earlier in this, now I'm trying to find the specific thing about the sort of the third act turn, with the, yes, okay, so the the significance of that in terms of like how, I don't know, just like how exciting and like shocking that moment felt. I think like, we've talked a little bit about like the pacing and how that contributed to the pacing, but I don't think we haven't actually like zeroed in on that moment specifically, because I do think that it was a very like pointed moment. Samantha notes like the health, and then she does the head tilt, many exclamation points. That yes, like the way like Elizabeth Olsen's sort of like reaction in that moment, and like that sort of moment of I don't know, of confirmation that she is very much in control, or has a significant amount of control over like what is happening here, and is not down to let Geraldine fuck with it. I just,
Yes.
yeah, the writing, the pacing, the performance, like all of like that scene.
Yes. And it is a flavor of, I'm not sure that we've seen this like flavor of Wanda. Like we've seen sort of confused and lost, and we've seen like questioning a little bit, but this very like pointed, like we got a glimpse of it with the no last week and the beekeeper kind of disappearing. But even that no was a little like confused, like, no, you can't be here. Like, no, this isn't happening. This was very like you said, like, not in this.
Menacing. It was
Yes,
menacing in
yes,
a way. Yeah.
menacing is exactly the word. It was like very like, not in this fake world. Like this, this is my
Goodbye.
house. Yeah. So it definitely added like that extra layer where yes, a part of the reason that this felt so much more satisfying is because we got that additional layer.
Yes, and I mean like, and it just, I do think that the slower pacing to like that plot, the sort of the season plot, in the first two episodes, also added to how satisfying that moment was, because it was like a big payoff. I think that if you had inserted that moment into the first episode, it wouldn't have felt, I mean like it would have been like, ah, this is big information, but it wouldn't have been nearly as shocking, or nearly as it wouldn't have felt nearly as earned, because we went into the first episode like, obviously this is weird and like something is amiss here, and whatever, but I think that leaving the viewer feeling that sort of like untethered and like, I don't really get it, and like some of the characters also seem like they don't really get it, but then they do get it, and I don't know, like that sort of, you know, uneasy energy of the show then made this turn in which the character, like it's Wanda and Vision, it's both of their show, but like Wanda is clearly the actual main character of this show. I don't know. I maybe you guys can disagree with me in the comments, but it is to me it
I'm
feels,
like, no.
no, you cannot. You cannot disagree. In much like Wanda, like, no, that's in this.
Yeet.
So yeah, having the like this, you know, this sort of main character have that like menacing turn, I think after we spent 2 episodes watching her be like silly and comedic, and in this one she was pregnant, and now she's a mom, and then she's like capable of murdering you, and we'll do it.
Yeah. And we've seen her powers like on full display the entire time as she's like doing her house chores, and then here comes the stork being brought to life and things like that. So this reminder of like, ooh, her powers, like especially if what we're speculating is real and she has somehow created this entire place, like just that reminder that she is definitely the most powerful one. Again, do not disagree in the comments.
Do not disagree. We will not hear it. No, rewind.
In the words of Wanda, no.
No.
Blind.
Yes. Nick also makes a really good point too about like Vision, that we're not even sure if Vision is actually there, which yes, because he's dead. It was our understanding before this that he was big dead. So how he here? How, if big dead, how alive? So you know. So yeah, yes. Given that, yes, given the degree to which it seems like Vision might be some sort of like construct of Wanda's mind, like if true, if that is all that's going on, like it seems like he is maybe periodically playing the role of like her conscience or something, you know, like those breaks are like, that would be, I don't know, that's my whatever loose assessment of that. But yeah, the show is WandaVision in the sense of it being Wanda's vision of the world, another place where Vision's name is wielded as a metaphor. Yes. Yeah. I have nothing to add except that I agree. True.
I mean, just even the play on like WandaVision, and obviously his name is Vision, but like television, like, and then like this, you know, sort of like her vision of the world, all of that, just so good. I'm gonna answer for next week, but yes, I like that episode too.
How many episodes we got? 10? Yeah, for the next 7. I'm gonna tell you.
We have 9. Is it 9?
WandaVision episodes. Let's find out. Let's confirm how many episodes. That did not yield quite the same instantaneous Google answer. I was hoping that, you know, Google would just do the thing where it just tells me the answer right away, and it didn't. And that was frustrating. Where is it? Where is it?
So next week we're heading into the 80s, presumably. And now I was like, what 80s sitcom?
9, you are right. It is 9.
Be 9, okay.
Yeah, what 80s? Oh yeah, I don't know.
I mean, not the Cosby Show. I'm gonna roll that one out.
Just gonna like put it out there.
Cheers, Family Ties, probably not Golden Girls. Who's the Boss? A personal favorite.
Okay, yeah.
Full House. We do have 2 kids now.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, I am very curious. The couple like quick shots, quick like clips of the 80s stuff that we got in like the trailer and promotion, like in like promotional materials and stuff, seemed very, very exciting. Big 80s energy.
I cannot wait.
Oh, actually, the thing that I'm most excited about for next week is in episode 4. I mentioned this last time, but I watched a bunch of interviews with Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen, just, you know, talking about how much fun they had making this show, and probably extra, like, I think that they would have had fun making the show regardless, like the way that they are talking about the experience of making it, and just the fact that it is incredibly different than any of the other Marvel stuff, so it's not going to have any of the vibe of like, okay, here I am going back to the same, you know, doing the same thing I've been doing, although neither of them have been in the world quite as much as like, I don't know, Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans, but anyway, probably extra fun in light of like under these circumstances, because I assume the entire thing was filmed, you know, post during the pandemic, so like they got to go be with other people every day, so I'm not jealous. Anyway, the thing I was gonna say is that in one of those interviews, Elizabeth Olsen was talking about how like throughout the filming process they were constantly being told it was just like, you know, ham it up more, like be like, go bigger, like lean more into the comedy of it. And the one and only time that she got the dial it back note was something in episode 4. So I'm excited to be on the lookout for
moment.
what I think will, yes, come if you're planning on, watching this with us week on week, come prepared with a guess. Let us know what you think.
What that moment was.
What do you think the moment was?
Jocelyn pointed out in chat, which I didn't even think when I said Full House, that it would be fun if Elizabeth Olsen paid homage to Full House, where her twin sisters were on. I love that so much.
I love it. Yes, I want it.
If it doesn't happen,
with her fake
upset.
twin kids. Yes. Or I guess maybe they're not fake now. Maybe she really did manifest them. I don't know. I don't want to think too much about what is real and what is not.
Don't do it.
It'll hurt my brain. I don't have the brain cells for that, so that's just it's just not gonna happen. Also, Nick had mentioned an interesting theory earlier too, which is the idea that like Wanda was working with Sword and got like quasi willingly trapped. That there's something that Sword was doing triggered it, and then she sort of subsequently kind of like went all in, which I guess does make a little bit more sense because obviously after the snap, so the sequence of events for her in the Avengers movies is she murders Vision, she murders Vision, Ultron rewinds, prevents and like takes the stone, and he murders Vision, and then snaps and she disappears, and then Tony snaps and she reappears to like defeat Ultron. Like that is time as she has experienced it. And then
go ahead.
And so I just but she like was part of that fight, right? And was emotionally functional enough to be part of that fight. So first of all, yes, I don't know, I feel like I want to point out that being her timeline because I hadn't really thought about it until just now, that's like how she experienced time. But also it does seem like it something had to be like the catalyst, like in it not like, yes, there's her grief and the grief and the trauma, but like what is, it wasn't like killing Vision, like that obviously wasn't like, that didn't instantly sort of trigger it. So like what's the trigger that like sent her into doing this to herself and all of these other people, or maybe inventing
Question mark?
these people? I don't know. Sorry, but
do you have a preference? Like, would you rather these are real people trapped or like fake people she somehow created or manifested?
I mean, I at this point like trust this show. Like I trust either outcome to be satisfying. That being said, my guess, like I don't know, like I don't have a preference. If I were to guess, I'm guessing real people trapped.
Same
is the feeling that I'm getting, just particularly from the Agnes Herb exchange. Like that to me felt, that felt real people trapped. And then like and the fact that Vision, real people trapped except for Vision, who is fake. That's my current guess. I don't know what. Maybe do you agree, disagree?
You can agree, disagree on that one, and we'll allow it.
Oh no, I was asking you.
Oh, me? I think real people trapped was my sort of thing, but now that you mentioned Vision, I think if Vision is fake, it's all fake. Like that's sort of my, you know what I mean? Like, because he would have to be fake for everyone. You know what I mean? Like they're all experiencing him. So I think it's either one or the other. That would be my guess. It's either all fake.
Yeah, but they're also all experiencing the town that she's artificially magicked. So I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. It doesn't feel. I don't know. It doesn't feel that much like
it has to be one or the other.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see. I liked too in this episode. I felt like I noticed more of the. Maybe it's just because it was in color, but I noticed more of the set feeling of it. Like when Herb is cutting the hedges / the wall. It was just like very obvious that he was standing in front of like a prop wall, like that, like a fake wall. The grass behind him was not grass; it was just like painted. And there were more little things like that where you could feel the constructed nature of the world that they're in, which I also thought was really, really cool. I had something else I was going to say about the real people, fake people. Oh, Agnes. Because, like, there's something with Agnes and who she actually is, and, like, maybe she's also, that one's a question mark, like, whereas Geraldine is, like, she's credited this way, Agnes is more just, like, there's heavy speculation that she is somebody who is in the comics. She's actually in as a non-comics reader, I do have 3 volumes of Scarlet Witch comics, and the person that they think Agnes might be, she in there. They're right there. You can't see them, but anyway. So yeah, basically just like also somebody who also has powers, basically. And like if that's true, then that also would feel like maybe she somehow got really trapped in there too. But also, I don't know, maybe she's dead and she's also a figment of, maybe she's also somebody that, like, maybe she is the person that everybody thinks that she is, and she's dead. Yeah, these are all
enough.
And they're like, Geraldine doesn't have a home. She's not dead like us.
Oh gosh.
I'm not committed to that theory, to be clear, and that is not one that I'm actually positing. I'm just...
I hope we are wrong. Like, all of our theories are wrong.
Yes.
So that would be great.
Yes. Yes. I can't wait to find out all the ways in which we're wrong. There are definitely some ways in which we're wrong, and we just don't know what they are. And we're going to have to find out over the course of the next 7 weeks. Over the next 7 weeks. So, anyway, anything else?
That's it, I think.
Any last thoughts from the chat, I guess? Otherwise, we will... What a weird show. It's yes, thank you. Love a weird show or movie or whatever. I just... very, very, very into it. Would it be more satisfying to be right or to be wrong in a sufficiently creative way? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess it would maybe be a little bit unsatisfying to be extremely right, just because of how, I don't know, like everything that they're doing feels so weird, and it would be a little bit, I think I would still like it, but there is a part of me that would be like, oh, they're just throwing so much weird shit at me that I would kind of like to see what additional curveballs they can throw at us. But
yeah, I think that for me, it would be right as it stands right now. It would still be satisfying to be right because we've had all of these different theories. It's not like we have one prevailing theory and that one ends up being the right one. It's leading us in so many different possible ways or whatnot, that if one of those ways ended up being right, I'd be like, aha, like that's really fun, because it means that they seeded it enough that like we picked up what we were supposed to pick up, and yes, that is satisfying.
Yes, that's true.
If I only had one theory and it was right, then I'd be like, oh, it wasn't all that weird then. But no, I have like 10 theories.
Right.
It'd be great if one of them were right.
Yes. Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I withdraw my previous statement. That is my answer as well. That's the official SnarkSquad line on that question. And with that, I guess we will we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I'm so excited that for the next 7 weeks we're gonna keep having this friend time.
We get to be with people too.
Wow. Yeah. I can't promise that we won't keep making it bleak like this at the end either. So.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Okay, well, thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Did I do it?